Healing is more than a hashtag.
Healing is prioritizing your well-being.
Healing is growing through our painful moments.
Healing is loving yourself more and more each day.
Healing is not always pretty, but it's worth it.
Healing is gratitude for another beautiful day.
That's your part right there. That's your part right there. Oh my God. I know. For another beautiful day in this new year. Praise his holy name.
It's beautiful. It's
Yes.
a sustained statement, you know?
Yes. Amen. Absolutely. And I'm so happy to see you looking beautiful and refreshed and glowing in this new year, 2025. You know, thank you, God. We made it to see another year.
We made it to see another year, and you were looking beautiful as well. Nice hairstyle, looking all
Thank
pretty,
you.
and you know,
Natural sisters, you know how we do. You know, a little new little styles for the people, for me, for Thank you, sis. I love it.
absolutely.
And you know, you be always rocking it. I love it. You be having the natural style always, so I love that. That's what's up.
You know, we just do what works for us, and this is an admonition to everyone to embrace your beauty, however it is, right? We don't have to go by societal standards or what the media tells us is beautiful. We know
that part. I love how we just like
ourselves.
speak on whatever is on our mind. Like, absolutely, just embrace the beauty that is you. I couldn't agree more.
That's it. That's the reality.
All right, so let's get it started. I love how you let the people know who you are, and then I could just echo that while I pull up something real quick for us. So let the people know who you are, your fabulousness. Yes, ma'am.
Sounds good. It's wild that this is episode 8, but hey, everybody, thank you for hanging tough with us, for commenting. Thank you for watching. Thank you for encouraging us and letting us know, wow, this topic really matters. But I am your girl, Steph Jones, also known as Lilac Calandra, mindfulness life coach and a marriage and family therapist, and someone who is committed to helping people along the healing journey so we can experience it in this time right now. I will never stop saying that phrase because a lot of people have put their healing off for either heaven or for like 10 years down the road. Not so.
No.
Do it now. When we do the work, when we do the true healing, do it now. So that's me.
Yes. And that's my sis. And as for me, my name is Lakeisha J. Rigg, and I'm an educator, career coach, small business owner, mental health advocate. And I'm just excited here to be with my sis to talk to you again on this next episode of More Than a Hashtag podcast. And I'm just as committed as she is to helping all of us along this journey of healing and wellness.
Yeah.
So that is real life, is real life, y'all. So trust and believe everything that you're going through on this journey of healing and wellness. We too are going through it. Not we've been through it and we've arrived. There's no arrival point. There is an ongoing journey, and we're in it with you. And so just know that truth that we're in it with you. So today, as you likely already know, because you're tuned in, locked in, as they say, get locked in, y'all. Get locked in, y'all. We're going to go in. Bear with me. I'm an educator. So every now and then, for my own humor, I just throw a little phrase because young people always got something new. So lock in. Okay. We talking about intentional relationships. Lock in. So intentional relationships, which essentially are those relationships that are purposeful and deliberate, right? Like it's on purpose, okay? And it could be with a life partner, you know, romantically, what have you, business partner, or a really close friend, okay? So just to keep that in mind, it doesn't have to be here relationship. We always talk about it's your man, it's your woman. That could be it too, but it's not just that. It is a relationship in a broad sense of someone that you have an interaction with. In this case, that on purpose, you're having that relationship with that person. Okay. So with that being said, sis, let's get into it, as you like to say. I think that's what you like to say. Let's get into it. Okay?
I do.
So what do you think? Why is intentionality important in our relationships? Like, why shouldn't we just like connect with random people and just be like, okay, see if it works out?
Such a good topic and such a good question. So I believe that every relationship is like a business. That if you don't have your vision statement, your motto, if you don't have your different plans and things that you want to do, if you don't have your business model, you don't have your financial thing, you don't have those things in place, then the relationship is going to fail. So for me, when you go into something intentionally, that means you have set up the business to work, right? Most people don't set up a business so it can fail. You set up a business so it can make you some money, some cheddar, some cheese, some bread,
all of that. Yeah.
Right. So when we commit to intentional relationships, then we say, I'm willing to put the work in to lay the foundation of the relationship. So that when we build on it, if fires come, as we see this happening in California, praying and sending thoughts and prayers to all the people experiencing that horror, but when you build a foundation, when the fire comes, and in all the pictures, the foundation is still there. The house is gone, but you see the foundation is still there. So that lets me know that if you build your foundation up in intentionality, that if fires come, monsoon, mudslide, hurricane, tornado, snow, whatever, that you can rebuild on that foundation because it's intentional. It's not just like, oh, I just want to be alone relationally, or I need to fit in somewhere. No, I'm with you in a platonic relationship, romantic relationship, business, whatever, spiritual, whatever, because I know that we have things to do for the kingdom, for the marketplace, for society in general. And I have made the choice to say, I'm going to build into this business so that this relationship can last and withstand anything. When I think of intentional relationships, that's the first thing my mind goes to.
Yes. No, I love how you laid all of that out, and said like, it's like a business. Because speaking for myself, like as a business owner, like I thought about my business in this way that you're describing as far as having a mission and all these other things. But like others of us now, don't y'all leave me by myself. With romantic relationships, it wasn't always like that. I was just like, young girl vibes. It's like, oh, he liked me. And honestly, like I was naive, y'all. Like I'm not even gonna pretend like I was naive. And the boy said, "Oh, me like you look sweet," or whatever. I might be slightly exaggerating, but generally speaking, I was that teenage girl. So I wasn't intentional. And not surprisingly, when I got my little heart broken, like I was not happy about it, but I wasn't intentional. But when I became a business owner, I was very intentional about my clientele and my, like target audience and all these things. So as time went on and I just learned about intentional, which actually that's like one of my favorite words, intentional. Live every day with intention. If any of my students are watching, that's one of my favorite phrases, live every day with intention. And when I realized like the power of that word, then my romantic relationship started being intentional, like my business ones. Like, why should I be on point with business, but just like letting somebody come through and be like, okay, I like you. Okay, that's nice. I may or may not like you, but is this on purpose? Right. So I love that you mentioned that. And the foundation, that is so key. When there is a foundation in any type of relationship, romantic, platonic, business, even as the various, things may happen in life and weather patterns or whatever the case is, and things kind of like challenge it, you still have that foundation that you can get back up. But if you don't have a good foundation and you're not intentional, it's something like a mash up. It's like a mash up, and it's not gonna get
every
time.
It'll be beat up every single time, and then we wonder why we have these transient relationships and why we have these relationships. Get out, jump in, jump out. That's friendship, that's romantic, that's whatever, that's church hopping, that's everything. And you have to know, like, the foundation was very shaky and the foundation was really not built up. You know what, I really started considering this when I started thinking about intentional relationships, that the villain to intentional relationships is trauma bonding.
Yeah. Facts.
Like, it's the villain. It is the exact opposite, that we built this relationship on trauma. So it was a foundation, but what happens when you heal? What happens when you say, I'm no longer in trauma? All those relationships, boom, down.
Then you kind of grow out of that person, and then it becomes awkward. Then whether it's a platonic or romantic, well said, sis, that trauma bonding where you feel like that person can understand you because they've been through this, that, and the third. You know, and not to say you cannot have some sort of like connection with somebody where you can understand one another, not to say negate that, but if it's just all based on I've been hurt, you've been hurt, let's commiserate, and then when no heal and get better, then you're like, then that person still want to talk about stuff that they've been hurt, and you want to talk about roses and sunshine, and then you can't even talk to them no more.
You can't. It's a complete imbalance. So trauma bonding is necessary for a certain time because it's good to be around people. If that's the intentional, right? If you're going to intentionally trauma bond, then that group needs to intentionally heal as well, right? Yeah. Where if we've committed to just sitting here having a cry fest, and that's no shade to anyone, that if you've committed to man bashing, to woman bashing, to relationship bashing, to God bashing, if you committed to that with your group of trauma bonding mates, then the commitment needs to be to intentionally healing so that this relationship can actually last. Because just what you said, when let's say we trauma bonded, and then you decide you want to heal, and I'm still sitting there like, girl, I can't. You're done with that.
Like, girl, exactly, and vice versa. It's like, girl, these jobs out here ain't ish. These dudes ain't ish. Life ain't ish. Mister, no, my girl, your downward spiral is too toxic. I can't deal with it, and vice versa. You're like, I can't hang out with Lakeisha no more because I'm just not feeling like I'm about to grow. She bringing me down, you know? It's true.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm like, oh man, like, you know, when that person starts healing and they're like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then, you know, I could be like, well, I'm not ready to let this go. I'm not ready to let this trauma go, this pain go. So when we're talking about the intentionality of it, he's intentional, like, you know, it's
that song right there. I put on that song this morning to prep us for the show, so you know it. That's it.
It's spot on. It's about intentionality, and when we're intentional, we don't waste time, and we don't have our time wasted. Right? There's one thing to waste your own time, but to have someone waste your time in a relationship when they know that they shouldn't be with you. Or it's like, man, I have a feeling there's something in my spirit. There's some woman's intuition. I'm like, this isn't it. I'm going to stay because for whatever reason. But we have to understand that our time is precious and we can't waste time. We don't have time to waste. So if we're in a relationship, and again, I'm not saying get that divorce, break up with anyone, leave that job. I'm just saying evaluate all of your relationships and see about the intention level to make sure that it's up there. And if it's not, then those are things to reconsider. You can do it on your own. Don't say, Lila told me to get divorced, leave the relationship, leave the church, leave my job. We did not. We didn't say that.
That is literally not what we said. Not what we said at all. But I love what you we did not say that. Don't leave people and blame us. Say that. But I love what you said about evaluate this, because that comes with wisdom and discernment. That's another discernment is another one of my words that I love. Like,
yes,
I prayed for that because I told you I was that naive girl, you know. So in full self-admission, I wasn't. I prayed for discernment. So once you get to a point and you have that, you prayed for it and you got it, constant evaluation of, you know, where any one of your relationships, be it romantic, platonic, or otherwise, you know, is that something that is still what it needs to be, what you need and that other person, you know, needs it to be rather. And, you know, with that being said, then you can make sure that you in a space where you need to be, because if that person is not what you need them to be, or you're not, then y'all can in a more healthy way move on. Because what is my thought? See, people in our life for a reason, season, or lifetime. Like you said, sometimes there's that trauma bonding. And if there's a commitment for that group, 2 people or more to, like, you know, go through cry fest, whatever the case. I like that phrase. I don't know why. You know, I'm reflecting back in college days. Sometimes I have like a cry fest and like an ice cream. That wasn't healthy, but emotional eating is real. Side note, He broke my heart. I need some ice cream and some conversation. Hey, no judgment, right? What we listen and we don't judge. Right. Whatever, but grow through that. Be intentional with that group that y'all gonna go through your little time, and then you're gonna grow through that. But if we, one person out of that group, is wants to move forward, and everybody else is just staying stuck, that's hard to continue on that relationship.
It is.
So we moving right along. I'm loving this conversation. So sis, how can we be more intentional, in our relationships, as we evaluate what are some things that we can think on and do and practice so that we get ourselves to the point where our relationships are where the people we need are there, how we need to be. How can we just be more intentional?
I might say something unconventional, but I was taking a nap. I was taking a nap right before we started going live. I love naps. They're just important. I really think it's important to spend time with yourself. And when I mean yourself, I mean, we're women of faith. So when we're with ourselves, we're talking to our Father, we're talking to Abba, we're praying, we're understanding, we're reasoning, we're gaining the wisdom. That is honestly the first step, that you take your moment to rest. And it's not just naps, it's not just but rest is good for your body. But you take your moment to yourself, and you take your moment to decide what you want to do. And the type of relationships that you want to have, that you visualize. You can even write it out if you want. It is very important that we start to already put on paper and already start to put in the atmosphere what we want. And then we'll find those things attractive. See, when we're saying it, that's a seed. So we're sowing. We're sowing, and then reap the things that you sow, right? So if I'm saying I want a great business partner who's going to hold me accountable, I'm already thinking of what I want that person to be like, and where it's important to do that. But we can even interact with the other people, we must interact with ourselves first. We must interact with ourselves first. And what type of friend, what type of wife, what type of person, what type of business partner, who am I going to show up as? Because I can require from you, but this is a real conversation. Who am I going to show up as? And what am I going to pour into the relationship, that I'm not just expecting so many things from these intentional relationships that I don't plan on giving myself. So it first starts with me, so that I'm knowing what type of intentional relationships I want to form and get into. And I'm taking the moment to rest and sit by myself and hear and understand. And then I'm like, okay, what spaces and places am I in that I can meet the people that I want and that I need for my journey? That's where I start.
Yes. That's the whole, listeners, take note. That's the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth. That is so spot on, sis. That time to oneself, to be able to have a clear mind and a clear slate. That is something that, as I reflect, that's really what put me in the direction of intentionality, is when I said I was, younger and naive, and I just came to a point in my life when I was like, why am I interacting with people that are hurting me, right? And then to your excellent point, I sat still, which is something for some of us, and I'll raise both hands, and I can't raise both feet or else I'd fall flat, but I raise everything in saying that I have been that person that cannot sit still and always around people, being that ambivert. And for those of y'all who may not know, that's like a in between extrovert and introvert, and not to get too sidetracked on what those mean, but energy level. Like, I be around people and someone just gets lit and live and da-da-da-da, right? And then I can sometimes spend time with myself, but mostly younger, I was just like, my check 1, 2, let's go be around the people, and it energized me. But it gave me no time to think about what I needed and wanted and what I needed to be. And it wasn't until that time to oneself to sit with the Father and just find out, what is it that Lakeisha wants? And what is it that Lakeisha needs to be to others as well? Because sometimes we think we being the best, and no one among us is perfect on earth. So with that being said, with that time to self, I figured out who I needed and what I needed people to be in any type of relationship, romantic, platonic, business, etc. But I also figured out who I needed to be able to warrant that type of interaction. So I could not agree more with time to oneself. We need clarity of self before we can be out here assigning who is going to be in our lives. So, and to add to that, one of the things that I think about when I think about how I can be intentional, in addition to your excellent point, sis, of time to oneself, is I didn't realize this until later in life, and someone, I can't recall who it was, shared this with me of not everybody is your friend, and that's okay. Some people are associates, acquaintances, your neighbor, your classmate, your coworker, because sometimes, myself included, we expect more from people than they are supposed to be giving us, and vice versa. So that's another thing, and I want to hear your thoughts on that, sis. I had to learn that not everybody is your friend, and then you want more, and you're just mad because they're not doing this because they're not necessarily your friend.
They're not your friend, and they were only meant to be in your life for a certain season. And what I'm hearing you say is that if we're gonna be in intentional relationships, then we have to make sure that we're putting proper expectations on the people in our life. That I cannot expect from someone, one, they just don't have it, and that's not their role in my life. Like that's what I'm hearing you say. It's not their role in my life. So when you have intentional relationships, and it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, this is your inner circle, or this is who you're gonna marry, this is who you're gonna date, or this is who you're gonna have children with. It's whoever you're letting in your life for whatever reason. That every business partner can't be your friend. It just can't.
Exactly.
And some people you can't go into business with. So
some people, yeah, like I forgot what I had, whether it was a show or a conversation, because I love to just learn in a lot of different ways, including through podcasts, like we're bringing to you listeners, but also I love just in-person conversations with people and whatever. So some kind of way I learned something about, there's certain people you could talk to about money, for example, and certain people you might love them, they might be a family member, whatever the case is, but you see them like them not have no money from what day. How you have to talk to them about your growth plan? Like one love, but you have to, maybe you want to get married. Why you gotta talk to the person who them can't have one relationship work from what day? No shade, but you have to be discerning of who you can talk to about what. But that person might be helpful, maybe not about money, but they might be a very comforting person, and vice versa, or what have you. We have to know who we can get what from and who we can provide certain things to, and assigning the appropriate role, be it, like I said, associate, acquaintance, coworker, neighbor, etc. So we have the right expectations and we set the appropriate boundaries. Sometimes some of us, myself included, we doing too much. Let's just be honest. We doing too much, and that's not for us to do. So we got to be intentional all the way around. Sis, what are your thoughts?
True. It's accurate to be intentional all the way around for every relationship that we're in, because when we're interacting with someone and we have put them in a different category than they should be in, then that's how the relationships end up very, they end up bad, or it's awkward, or it's like I have to block you now because it just got so terrible.
Why are you keeping it all the way real right now? I had to block them because they weren't getting the picture. Like they did not understand.
You were being weird. You were being strange. You were being rude. You got to get blocked because I train people how to treat me. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, it's just reality. But a lot of it, and here's the accountability piece and why we have this platform, that we must take accountability, not for what the person did, but for how we allowed it. And at times we have to, that's a case by case. I'm not talking about situations of domestic violence or things like that. I mean, in our relationships, we've been hurt, or we've stayed with someone too long, or we knew this person was really not good for us. Like they would spread, news about us, or they would say things about us. We knew that, and we still engaged with them in a friendship. Or we knew this person was shady and shisty. We knew they had backstabbed people, and then we go into business with them. That's not on the person, because they were being who they were supposed to be. That's who they are. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's real. That's who they are. If we know who they are and we still engage with them in that manner, the accountability has to turn back on us. What did I need to do?
Sis, you preaching right now. That is so true. And I watched a movie the other day. I don't want to give nobody no free product placement for that movie, but let me just say this. It was a movie with a woman and she went all the way crazy. But she knew from jump to do this could be any movie really, but I'm not trying to give people free publicity, but from like she got with the guy from jump and spent her money that was left to her that she inherited when her mom passed. Y'all might know the movie, whatever. And when it was all said and done, like she literally flipped out because the man leave her for the next woman and the whole life that she did have. He did it with her. But to your point, accountability. You knew how this person was. You allowed them to use you. And then you're going to turn around and be salty. We have to take accountability. I did. I literally said, you know what? From a time I was young, I said, I cannot be mad at anybody but myself if I allow for people to treat me a certain way.
Right.
And from then I started to change and I started to heal because some of us, myself included, for whatever trauma has happened to us, and when we do not heal from that, some of us have low self-esteem, and that's not really something anybody wants to admit to because it's embarrassing. But I feel like when we live our truth and we admit to things that we can then grow and change from, we have a more likelihood of living a better life than if we are embarrassed and in shame. So real talk, sometimes when we go through traumatic stuff from a young age and we have low self-esteem, we allow things that if we don't choose to admit what it is that we're struggling with and work on it, we're just going to stay stuck and we're going to keep on having relationships that are, say, toxic. And there's really no one that we can sort of put the finger at but ourselves. So, yeah, real talk. Real talk.
It's us. I was actually just thinking of that. Like I have the journey to me finding self-worth, it was big, not really being affirmed when I was a child, just kind of being ignored. It just happened. It's just the way that life happened, right? That's my story. And so I didn't know my own worth and then starting to find it. But before I found it, I entered into a lot of relationships. I don't mean romantic. I stayed away from those for a while. I mean, friendship. Just collaborating with people who were really not good for me and really did not have my best intentions at heart. And I just needed to feel accepted. And I just needed to feel like, oh my gosh, validated. And when people can smell your trauma and they can smell your brokenness, they'll use you. We need the people who can smell our trauma and our brokenness and say, I want to help you. Like, let's grow on this journey together, and not say, oh, how can I exploit your trauma? So I was just thinking of that. You know what I mean? Because when you're in a different space and when the work for healing has not really been done or it's just been done at a certain level and then we kind of plateau and we stop, then we will engage in situations and we will enter into circumstances and all type of relationships that we really have no business entering into. And when we come out of the fog, it's hard. You end up feeling a level of resentment, not toward anyone else, but towards yourself. You end up feeling angry at yourself. Why did I allow myself to go into this relationship? Why did I allow my time to be wasted, my money to be taken, right? My emotions to be dragged all across the land. But then you have grace and forgiveness. And then that makes you say, okay, I did some unintentional relationships. They were willy-nilly. I did not really give my full focus to them. Now, oh baby, intentional relationships are the only move that you can do, because you can't waste time. And if we're meant to be together and connected in a certain way for a certain season, you're going to be in your right category. And I keep my expectations very low, not because I'm traumatized, but because it's just a reality. Keep them low and then let people show you what they can do, and it builds up. I'm not going to jump into a relationship with such high expectations and I'll be let down. So much. Like, it doesn't make sense. We have to give people the grace for them to be where they are. And we have to stop entering into relationships for potential. I don't mean that just romantically. I mean friendship wise and everything. If you don't like that person where they are right now in time, with how much money they have, with how their emotional intelligence is, how their communication style is, if you don't like that person right now, then it's okay to move on. It's okay to say, you know what, maybe we can circle the block, or maybe we can come back around when work has been done on both sides, right? And if you don't like that person right now, then that's not a relationship we should be entering in. And again, we're not just talking about romantic, we're talking about platonic and business and spiritual and all these different things. If you don't like that person right now, it doesn't matter how much money you can make, all that has to be evaluated, because your mental health will be the one that suffers. And there are plenty of people to make with that will keep you in peace, who will support you, and you won't have to be like rolling your eyes. That's when the tension, you ever seen tension between a husband and a wife, between business, you can feel it. There's you're just here for the business. You're just here because, okay, we can make money, or we're here for the kids. Because we don't have to waste time, you know?
No. It's everything that you just said. Just your whole truth, like as far as like the way that it was, and that not knowing the self-worth and what we allow, and just everything that is the journey. I too have been on that journey of, through trauma, not knowing what it is that we should be treated like, and just going through that whole process of being upset with oneself. But I love that you brought it to the grace, and that's that discernment that I'm talking about, of when we get to the point where we can have that clarity of mind to understand the journey for what it is, the good, the bad, the peaks, the valleys, and then get to that point where we're like, we're not going back. We went through what we went through. We sometimes feel as though people were not there to protect us, but rather exploit us because of that vulnerability and that weak state, that, say, some of us being that, kind-hearted person, that naive or good-natured, or insert any phrase you'd like. And so as we move forward in this journey, and as you say, get out of the fog, well within our right to be like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I'm intentional. And I don't know that you touched on this, but one of the things that I think about for me that I learned, and I'm very big on, you don't have to tell everybody your business. That should be intentional and on purpose as well. Because for me, sometimes in my naive state, I would trust someone, be it platonic, romantic, or what have you, to comfort my heart with whatever I might have been going through, to come to find out that person, in whichever way, would take advantage of that. And then I feel worse. So I believe guarding our heart in every sense, romantic, platonic, business, whatever, we have to be intentional about what it is that we share with whoever it is that's in our life. And everybody doesn't need to know everything. We, me, myself, and I, and any other person themselves, and God, whoever it is that you look to, you serve, it's just you and that higher power knows everything. That's just it. Not everybody need to know everything. And I think, especially in this culture of social media, and before y'all come for me, social media has its values. I'm not here to attack social media. However, that being said, in this culture, everybody wants to share every little thing, this and that. Everything. What this person do me wrong, from us common folk to celebrities. I think, we all want nobody's better work. Just to kind of like paint a picture, common folk and celebrity. Everybody, this person breaking up, that, and the next day they back together, whatever. It's like, not everybody need to know everything. In private as well, like one-on-one in real life, as well as on social media. Like, some things just need to be just you, or some things need to be communicated to you and that one or two persons that need to know that information. But we talk too much, we share too much, we overshare too much as a society. I didn't learn my lesson, but it's share enough. And, so I think that when we talk about this intentionality, we also want to be intentionality of who we're sharing things with and how they may use that.
It's so true. Like, we have to be, and sometimes we're so desperate to share, that's why it's important to make sure that you have safe spaces of sharing, whether it's an actual therapist or life coach, or just a safe space like a group friend, or a nice group of friends, or just a friend from your friend group that it's just you and them, or just like you do have to be very cautious, because then we wonder why our business is out, or why we feel even worse after sharing with people. That if I'm going to say, I'm going to share with you, Lakeisha, sis, I'm going to share with you, there's a level of unburdenedness that I want to feel after, right? That I shared that with you, you share with me. We're carrying each other's burdens, right? We're holding each other up, But sometimes you'll know that you feel more burdened after sharing with someone. One, they could not handle and hold what you were saying, or they make it about themselves. They see your trauma and they raise you two traumas.
Oh my God, the one up, please, people, the one up, ain't it? Ugh.
That's not intentional anything. That's intentional aggravation, that you know it. And are we so desperate and so needy to be around people that we will tolerate nonsense? And yes, we have grace for people, but when we're going along our journey, the people that we have in our inner circle, we need to be very selective about that. There are only certain people who will know things, and that people might want to know, but everyone doesn't have the right to know. Exactly. And that's what I'm hearing you saying. It was super profound, because I'm like, we just share and share and share, and we gossip and we gossip, and we meet up and we check in, and it's just like, no, especially with family, we're not obligated to share. There's no binding blood contract that says you must share with your family. No, it's not true. Because if your family tells everything, if your family uses what you share as the weapon to cut you down in the middle of an argument,
exactly, yeah.
Everything to yourself. And I will say this, because if anyone's going through that, the balance, because I've been through that and I'm working through that every day. The balance of that is, you can know who to share with and you can know what to share and things like that. But you have to know that just because, let's say your family, because that's real life for me. Like, let's say your family like you share with your family, they'll use it against you just automatically. Let's say that happens. But I have to say, Lakeisha is not that person from my family, so I can share with her. Because for me, and this is a very personal episode, I'm fine with that, right? For me, I shut everybody down. That I said, oh, the people who are closest to me, your family's supposed to love you the most and all that, right? And when I share with them, or if I have shared with them, then it's been used or it's just been shared all around. I applied that to everybody and everything. So I didn't share with anyone, and people would be trying to get stuff out of me. It was like Fort Knox, boo. Like, you weren't getting any information from me. Why would you need information from me? That's the balance. That's the balance that I am able to compartmentalize, that my family may do this, but everybody doesn't do this. And there are actual genuine people. This is how I work. This is how I had to work through the trauma. There are actual genuine people who want to hear what I have to say, to either support me, pray with me, encourage me, share their own things so that we can work on it together. Like, there are actual literal people like that. So that's the balance, that we don't make sure to shut off everyone. I do see 2 comments. It's just
please. We want to hear from you, people.
It was an agreement of rest. That's from Jermaine, the other co-host. Okay, let this remind me. Thank you so much. So much. So that is right. Everything comes back to rest, because when you're trying to figure out, am I in the right relationships, friendships, business? You got to take that rest so you can actually hear and understand. When you have a bunch of noise around you, it's very hard to hear. So, that's just the reality. And then intentionality and awareness, it's what we bind around our neck, right? It's what we bind around our neck. It's just how we are.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. We want just a quick little interject. We want to hear from you. So please comments, whether now during the show or after, email us, whatever we want to hear from you. This is just some real talk, some real sisters out here who's going through it, been through it, and just sharing with you. So we want to hear from you, right? So please. But sis, I love just the authenticity in what you were sharing, because I can relate to that. When we have experienced something that causes us to distrust, in your example, and I can, relate to it, not just family, but also just people in my youth. And when you have that experience that causes you to distrust, it can cause us to keep out the people that actually want to help us. So it's a journey to go through, just to really learn how to open back up. Because being a businesswoman, for as long as I can remember, I could be this way, where I could be just very just on the surface level about things. Yes, hello, good morning, good afternoon, nice to meet you. Very professional, very pleasant, and not necessarily share anything private or personal. And so as time went on, to your point, when I, really took time, because intentionality takes time. You know, someone like myself, if I'm being fully honest, which we out here being real with you, I used to, back in my more extroverted leaning ways, like everybody at your friend, hey, and you don't necessarily take the time needed to discern if this person is someone you can trust. So then when you just out here like, hey, sharing stuff, then you in a bad space, and might have a bad situation with somebody, shared stuff or whatever. So when you get on the other side of that fog, as you're saying, then we want to take time with the people as we're building these intentional relationships, while we're working through the distrust, so that we can let them come alongside. And what you were describing, sis, is like a support system that is so important, whether it's a therapist and or a good friend. Maybe you have a good family member, maybe some of them get on your nerves, but maybe you got that one auntie that's solid. That one, like, even if it's one, you know what I'm saying? Like, you cobble those people together, the therapist, the auntie, whatever the case is, a support system is so important. Even, three wise men, even if it's just three people, if those people can be there for you, and vice versa, you're there for some people, it don't need to be a lot. Quality over quantity when it comes to relationships. Let's be all the way real, y'all, because if I look back, like I said, mic check, I, perform on stage, to this day, track coming out, in about a month. So I'll let y'all know about that. So, sometimes, you just out here just meeting people, and even myself and my sis, we're business women. You just meeting people, and you have to just really be intentional about the role that those people play in your life, right? And so, so a support system is really important. Some people is just at that surface level where you're just exchanging, certain, conversations. This is a transaction. And then some people, is a little bit more, but you have to discern that. You have to get to that level. One of the things I was thinking, sis, when you were talking was that I'm gonna speak to the people who you just going through something right now, and you feel like you don't have that support system. You don't have family members that you feel like are there for you. That's just how it's been. Some people, y'all got chippery, leave it to beaver, family. And I love that. I love that. But not all of us have that. Okay. So I'm talking to the people that, like, you just don't have no family you can talk to. You going through something. You don't have any close friends. You tried, but for whatever reason, you haven't found your tribe yet. Speak over yourself. Sometime you got to just, as my sis was saying earlier, you got to have that time, not only for clarity, but you could also use that time to speak over yourself, because what is not healthy to do, and my sis alluded to this or said this before, just to be around people because we crave attention. I've been there. Again, I was an extrovert. I like to be around people. So sometimes I just want to be around people, be out, be, hey, whatever. And then I find myself not feeling happy after just wanting to be out around people. Sometimes you will feel better when you're going through something if you don't have that support system yet. I say yet because I have support system now, and I'm so blessed. So it's coming. So sis, and even if we have some brothers, shout out to whoever, it's all one love. It's what, in the Claire We All fam. Whoever's listening, yeah, I'm just keeping it all the way real with a little bit of funnies in the middle, but real talk. Sometimes you just gotta be by yourself and speak over yourself and go out and be around people that's gonna make you feel 10 times worse, knowing that your support system will come. Don't give up. Stay encouraged. Write affirmation. Let me tell you something. When I felt so low, affirmations, I wrote them down. I'm kind of new school with the technology. I'm old school, but the technology is. So on my phone notes, I have affirmations that I am beautiful. And y'all might be like, okay, sis, don't you already know that? It helps to speak over it. I am beautiful. I am enough. All these things when I was in my lowest place, and I feel like I couldn't talk to nobody, because sometimes, real talk, even people that might be, kind of good to us, they might not understand what we're going through. We're going through a loss. We're going through grief. We're going through a divorce. Whatever it is that you're going through, sometimes you need to just speak over yourself, affirm yourself, talk to the Father. Doing that and letting that sustain you, than going out and just going to be around people and feeling like empty. Speak over yourself. I'm just speaking to the people that right now you feel alone. Speak over yourself and let God put the support system in place and let him help you, and you'll grow, out of whatever it is that is weighing you down. Just speak over yourself and believe that it will come. I just felt it on my heart to say that because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to feel alone by yourself.
Oh, it's true. And you were right. You were tapped right in the flow. That's like you were right there, because it really is about what we say. That I think I said this on this podcast. I had a former pastor. She used to say, our words are shaped by our words. So our world are shaped by our words. Mm-hmm. And it's true, right? Because what we say happens. Because our words don't even know if we're being funny or like, oh, I'm sick, or we say stuff like that, like getting on my nerve, and like our words don't know that we're being sarcastic or ironic, or it just says, oh, okay, let me go forth and do what that word says to do. So we have to be very cautious and careful that if we say, oh, there are no good anything, you can attach anything to it, then you're right. There will be no good anything.
Right.
And if we say, oh, I'll never, or I can't, all those words, they bind us and they chain us up.
Powerful, sis. So true. So true. And I when I realized that, and it's interesting because I love words, and from a young age, like to use words and what have you. But then when I've been going through this journey, a whole next, sort of level thinking of words was not that I love them and using them and articulating but the power that they have. And that's what I'm hearing. Like there is life and death in the tongue. There's so much power. If we keep on speaking that our life is down the toilet, that's what it will be. We have to speak over, even in the depths of despair, even the valley. And I know it's hard because I felt it myself. Even when you're in the lowest of low and you feeling depressed because of what, I get it. But if we just speak over ourselves, we will more likely to manifest getting on that other side and getting to that peak while we're in the valley. But if we're in that valley and we're speaking negativity and things, we're going to stay stuck and spiral even worse. So we have to speak life if we want to grow and if we want to have life. This is real right now.
It's real.
This is all. I don't know. I feel like everything we talk about is real, but right now we are really coming at you about things that we have truly experienced in our lives and
yes.
Stage. And so with that being said, what are some examples of intentional relationships that you have now? Well, first of all, we intentional right here on More Than a Hashtag podcast. This business relationship is all the way intentional. So I just want to start with that, but let me give you some time.
I was going to start with that too.
Add to that. Elaborate on that. Yes, go ahead. Elaborate.
Yeah. But because it's real, because when you're in an intentional relationship, it's a commitment. It's almost a covenant. It's almost a covenant you make with the person you're getting in the intentional relationship with, that we both know what we want out of this, and we both are going to put in the effort and the work and the intentionality to make it happen, Captain, that we're not going to be sitting here saying, oh, I want this to happen, but my actions, the way that I behave towards you, the way that I speak towards you, don't line up with what I say I want. If I say that I want us to collaborate here, there, everywhere, and then I speak to you a certain way, my tone is off, I'm dismissive, I'm just rude, or like that, things don't match up if we don't have communication, if we don't have the conversation. Like
exactly. So
intention.
Listeners, we are intentional about even our relationship as co-hosts, whereby, first of all, my sis is so amazing because if y'all don't know, she does another podcast, and then we both, I don't know if we ever shared this, but we both met each other through another show. I don't know if we can give them some shine. Can we say it? What have you? Yeah. Yes. Black Mental Health Matters. We're both show hosts for that. So
I don't see why not. Yeah.
And I had her as a guest. Shout out to, I wasn't trying to shout out the movie earlier, but I'll shout out the other things because we involved in these things. So National Career Development Association podcast. My sis was a guest, and I had the pleasure of interviewing her. So we have known each other, and we've gotten time to know each other that when, my sis had pitched doing this, she's already extraordinary out here, giving her the credit for the graphics, and just she just know the technology like that. I know a little something, but I want to give her flowers now. So when she had the pitch to me, she said, no, so this sounds like a lot of work. But but we collaborate together to help each other, and she knows my heart and I know hers, and I know, her characteristics and etc. So this was very intentional. We just didn't spring up one day and be like, hey, let's do a podcast. No relationship just spring up one day. It don't spring up one day. We took the time. And so,
and if it does, it doesn't last.
Yes. So this is an example, y'all, of this was an intentional. So when you think about people in your life that you want, a romantic, platonic, business, make it be intentional. Get to know the person. We've gotten to know each other. We've worked together. We just didn't be like, see each other on the street. As a matter of fact, we don't even live in the same place. We didn't see each other on the street and be like, hey, work with me. Just random. No, we were intentional to get together and do this for us and for you, the people. So sis, anything you want to add to that, or any other relationships? I feel like that's one of the main ones to talk about.
That's one of the main ones. And because we live it out. We live it out publicly, that we haven't even ever met in person, but we live out this intentional relationship right in everyone's face. That two people met a couple months ago, but knew what they wanted in business and podcasts and sharing the gifts and walking on the journey of healing. All of that, you have to know. You know what I mean? I think relationally or romantically, I think a lot of people want to be with an illusion of who they have in their head that is perfect for them. And we have not truly given the reins and the control back over to Abba, our Father, right? We have not allowed him to choose and to pick for us. We have said, you know what, I'll take control of this. And then we wonder why in relationships and in spaces and places that do not fill us, do not serve us, but they drain us. And so if we're talking about being intentional, I would be remiss if I didn't say we have to give the control back to the one who knows not just us, but the other person who we want to be in a relationship with intimately, intricately, that you know us, so you can put us together. And the Holy Spirit actually told me that he is bumping his people into each other. And so those who are rooted, those who really want those relationships, marriage, even if you just want to date, like there are so many people who are good people, but good people are running into people, and that's what it is. And it's not about compromising or adjusting. It is about saying, this is what I want out of the relationship. And I have to say, I really don't, it doesn't matter how it looks or what I thought in my head, that if I want this business relationship, romantic, if I'm trying to enter into this space with someone, that I'm just looking at the end goal. As long as we get the end goal, it doesn't matter how it looks, because we put all these ties and boxes on how we're supposed to intentionally bump into people. And then that limits us. And when we don't find what we want, then we start to resent God. We start to say, oh man, you give me what I want. It didn't line up with his will. So no, it's not going to work. So this is how I see it, right? If we want intentional relationships, I want to be lined up with the will of intentionality. That your will is my will, and I'm going to bump into everyone I need to, because I'm walking on his path. And that's the best way to make sure we don't waste any time. I'm not trying to be all super spiritual, but it's just the only formula that really works. It's it.
No, it's super. Look, be super spiritual. I don't care, but it's regardless. It's facts. I mean, real talk. Once I said, you know what, God, it's you, my life got better, because sometimes we gotta be in control of everything, the job, the friend, the this, that, whatever, and then getting mad when it don't work because it's not for me to be controlled, because I don't know everybody. God knows who it is that would be good for me, even if I didn't think it was the one. Shout out to my love.
Even if I didn't think it was the one.
I didn't know. I thought I knew who I needed, but The person who is the love of my life right now, I didn't know. God knew. Because if it was me, and I said, no, it's not him, I joke. God knows.
It wouldn't have been this. It wouldn't have been the selection, and that's the real testimony.
But when we let God, but when we let God do His work, then we like, God, I see what you did there.
He gives us who we need. He gives us just who we need, and it's beautiful. And it might not be in the package that we. That's what I'm saying. The illusion. Get rid of the illusion that we have in our mind, because it might not be in the package. It might not be in the package. It might not be in the age bracket. It might not be in the geographical location. I'm just saying what I'm saying.
I know, right? But when we give it to the Father and we let Him do His work, I know, sis, might not be where you thought it was location-wise. It might be on the location. But when we give it to the Father, it might not look like what we thought. But when we get it and we're like, God, this was actually better than what I thought. Like, real talk, like. Better, whether it be, a man, a woman, somebody you're gonna marry, whether it be a friendship. Especially, to be honest, I have not always known like how good friendships work. Like, I had a lot of people that I know, right? But in terms of the dynamics of being a good friend to somebody, I think I was a nice person, of which now I'm more like want to be kind and not nice, because nice people get taken advantage of.
More kind than nice.
Right. And so with that being said, sometimes you don't know, like, as you said, it's not in the package. The friend may not be in the package, the, future life partner, husband, wife, or what have you. But when you let God, let go and let God. When you let God, it could be better. That friend could be better than what you thought. That partner, marriage partner, etc., could be like, man, I was out here chasing or being chased by what I thought because I was in control and it was aggravating. But now, like, this is beautiful. God, thank you. Level me up. So, I think my sis and all of her beauty is having. Oh, can we hear you on now, sis? There you go. My sis is about to say some profound words.
Can you hear me?
Yes. A little delayed, but I think we're good now.
A little delayed. Okay. No, but I'm just in full agreement with what is being said, and how we just have to let go. We have to let go of everything we thought we knew, everything we thought we had. We have to let it go, and then we have to allow those intentional relationships to come to us now that we're ready to receive them. And you prepare yourself, you get the ground and the soil ready, and then you plant those seeds of intentionality and you watch them bloom, and you water them and you cultivate them and you make sure that they're being fed, and then those relationships can really grow and bloom and turn into beautiful journeys. But we have to first relinquish control, work on ourselves, and then we'll be ready to receive, because we don't want to receive our destiny helpers when we're not ready to receive them, because we beat them up. We beat them up. It's timing. We beat up our destiny helpers. We beat up those who are in our path and our journey if we're not ready to receive them at the time. So we have to make sure that we're getting prepared, we're doing the work on ourselves, so that when we encounter those intentional relationships that we prayed for, we cried for, we soaked our pillows for, that when they come, that we're ready for them. That would be my kind of final wrap up, final word. I
was gonna say, sis, I'll let you wrap us up, because can you believe it? We've already gotten to time. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it.
It's crazy. It goes so fast.
I know. Oh boy. Oh, such great conversation. We go all in for y'all. We go all in. So yeah, sis.
It's all for you guys, okay?
It's all for y'all, okay? We do it for the people. Oh, but real talk, speaking of y'all, the people, we want to hear from you. So sis, let them know, how can they reach us? Yes, right there. My sis laid it all out. We want to hear from you, comments, suggestions. We got a whole email. We official, y'all. Like real talk. We out here. More than a hashtag.podcast at Gmail. Follow follow us. I mean, we uh, my business. You can follow me, my sis. Sis, let them know. I feel like we need to let them know about just, I don't know, this is off the top. I'm a little freestyler sometimes. Tell them how they can reach you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So on social media, I'm Lilac Calandra. And then, but on Instagram, I'm Lilac_Calandra. And then my life coaching business is Selah Mindset, and Selah stemming from the book of Psalms, where there's a big musical interlude and then it says Selah. And it means that we are to be in contemplative reflection because something big just happened. So when life happens, when issues arise, we need to be in contemplative reflection so that we can allow ourselves to process our emotions. So that's where that stems from. But it's Selah Mindset. That's SELAH Mindset. You can find that everywhere. Just dropping gems, just downloading things, sharing personal things that have helped, because we've made it through and we've found the path of peace. And now we're here leading other people to it. We're not just abandoning. I just said this on another podcast. We're not just abandoning everybody. We made it through. We're turning around, coming back and saying, hey, this is the way. This is the way. So we're all going to sit in the Selah, take our breaths, and just chill. So that's where people can find me. Looking forward to connecting with you.
Amen. Amen. Yes. And I just thought about this in this moment, like to say, let the people know where they can find us, because I want y'all to know you can access us, beyond here. So as for me, I own a career coaching and career training business. So if you want to level up, new year, new beginnings, you want to work on a new role, something that can be aligned with the purpose that God has for you, as well, if you are an educator and you want to explore your options beyond teaching, I have a career development training. So pretty much you can reach me on like every platform, LJR Training and Coaching for my initials, Latish J Rig, LJR Training and Coaching. So yeah, find us, follow us, email us, comment. We want to hear from you. That's it.
We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. And I started thinking of a scripture when you were mentioning about guarding your heart. So it's Proverbs, which is my absolute favorite book. It's Proverbs 4:23, and it says, above all else,
Yes. Guard your heart.
guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it.
Amen.
So that's just a good way to.
It's a good way to take us out of this show. I love it. Guard your heart, y'all. One love.
I think I was a little frozen. Can you
A
hear
little,
me?
a little frozen, but I believe the people heard about the guarding your heart. Everything flows from it.